Hello, friends. Today we've got a superstars battle between Boudouche, the French Terror, and Sapientia, the German veteran. It is the playoffs now, and top 16, and best of 3, Smogon Tour tier, so DPP, Black and White, Oris. And this is the first game. This is DPP. So we've got Mamo against Jirachi. Oh, it's seeded, by the way. Boudouche was the first seed. Sapientia 16. And we don't see Ironhead Jirachi much leading anymore, but and most people count on the special attacker lead, popularized by Panna and then Phil, way back in the day. Yeah, not many people expect... Well, Ironhead doesn't necessarily mean Scarf, but most of the time it does. Its objective is to flinch Aerodactyl and his elf. And Mamoswine, and Boudouche was like, yeah, it's special attacker, I better get these rocks. But 40% of the time he got him even with Ironhead, so... he got him down and Ape's in. But Sap is not in a bad position. I think it's pretty fair for both players. This is why DPP is good. Like, both players have their advantages, but nothing is, like, overpowering. Well, that crit kind of messes things up. Celebi is in, though. And Celebi, on this sort of offensive team, can do a lot of things. This is reminding me of this team Boudouche used in SPL, which was SD Pass Celebi. Oh, man, it is. And there's Clefable. And Clefable is SD fodder, especially if it has T-Wave, because that means he can slow pass and not risk the recipient getting hit. And I think that means it's Scarf Ape. But yeah, both players have their advantages. And he switched in Clefable fearing T-Wave. But now knowing he's not going to get T-Wave on this turn, almost definitely. And that is a physically defensive Celebi, which used to be the standard. You could recover on Scarf Flygons and shit. And obviously Jirachi's, and is he going to pass? He does. Here comes the Scarf Ape against Gengar. Yeah, I was saying earlier, I'll just get this out of the way, that both players have their advantages, but nothing is overwhelming, so it's all out in the place. And here comes Scizor, actually. That's a lot more threatening. If I'm remembering correctly, he had a quick attack Scizor. Oh, and he bullet punches, and it's not going to take it out with quick attack, like not even close, but it's still going to chunk him really hard. And Heatran will be brought down. No, he sacks Mamoswine. And so, nice work there. And Infernape can come in for... No, he's going to go some more sweeping route. And Sap's team is kind of weird. Like, he's got the whole Jirachi, Clefable balance core. Then he's got Tran that appears to be... No, it's not Scarf. Ooh, beautiful. Now Scarfrachi can finish it off. I was going to say, well, if it has a move to hit it, like Thunder, they used to run Thunder Punch. He might also have to Iron Flinch. I think Iron Flinching is more likely than seeing Thunder Punch, honestly. Oh, that blows. And I mean, Gyarados is bulky, as you saw from how well it took the explosion. And it wasn't a guaranteed flinch. It's 40%, and you factored accuracy, but that still is kind of lame. Especially because it means it's out of Swampert's Ice Beam range now. Of course, Gyara could always flinch the perp. But yeah, I really like when Heatran doesn't have rocks or is choiced and is offensive. People don't expect that anymore. For example, in World Cup, August was playing Goten, and he fire blasted some shit with his Heatran, and Goten assumed it was Scarf because it didn't have rocks, and it didn't have leftovers, and yada yada. And he sent his Dragonite, and Heatran exploded all over it. That's so good. And there is a flinch. Oh, he DDs again. Oh, it's HP Electric. That's great. And that's a nice move from Douche there, just being polite. And, I mean, this is a tournament, so major props to the guy for doing it. Here comes... Scizor is really dangerous to Sap, I think, now. And Metagross is, too. And so is Scizor. I think Douche has the advantage for sure. There's another Zen Headbutt. And what could Sap's last be? I mean, it doesn't... Okay, Flygon. That team just seems really weird to me, man. It's just... I can't really tell what it's trying to do. My best guess, it's sort of balanced, and it's got Heatran and Flygon that aren't choiced. Maybe Flygon's choice banded, but it's like those two mixed dudes. Yep, there's Life Orb. Well, I mean, that doesn't mean mixed, but I mean, come on, it's going to be mixed. Physical attack Life Orb is a thing of the past, and it would really, really like a mag. But yeah, those guys to bust up more defensive teams and rely on the Pert Clefable core and Gengar that handles offense and stall, and I mean, it's alright, it's just not my thing, really. So this Flygon is actually super, super dangerous. I think what, especially because all 3 pokes left are weak to fire, and if Flygon is max special attack, like the mix set is, I forget if, I think Naive is generally better, because running a Mixcom that gets outrun by Gliscor sucks. But, even Timid, I think, yeah, it would definitely kill Celebi from 52. So, like, what he would have to do, but it wouldn't kill Metagross from that range, so, like, what he would have to do is, like, I don't know, bring it down via Life Orb by going to Celebi and then Metagross, maybe then back to Celebi on Earthquake, although Flygon could roost on, I don't know if it can roost Seed Bombs off. These generally tend to be naive, so it's not minus defense. So you're generally, you generally prefer being able to take, like, T-Tar Stone Edges and such. And Naive, and, like, priority attacks, like Scissors Bullet Punch. But Naive is nice because sometimes Roost Flygon, it shouldn't be, but sometimes you just can't help it that it's your dude that switches into Scarf Trade Fire Blast. Of course, you will have to be careful for those HP Ices, but that's what the rest of your team is for. And so yeah, boudouche is going to have to stall it into Scizor, Bullet Punch, plus Life Orb range. So, he needs Scizor too, because it will beat Gengar. And Gengar's going to kill Celebi. So Celebi, I think, we can establish, is the least useless. It loses to 2 of the 3. Beats Clefable, but Metagross doesn't beat Clefable if it's T-Wave Clef, and it has, what's his face? And it doesn't have Explosion on meta, so Scizor is definitely the most important. Could he be going to... It is Life Orb, but no way it's Aqua Metagross. Aqua Gross is a nice way. Sometimes sticking a Resist Berry on your sweeper is a good way to both get them past a check and also shore yourself up defensively. There are tons of examples. Pasho, DD-Tar, Chople, DD-Tar. Shuka is the most common on DD-Tar, of course. Aqua Gross on Agility, or Shuka. And even Shuka Lucario for Gliscor luring. It doesn't really, help you survive +1 DD Earthquake or anything, but it's nice. Chople, so you live things like Scarftar Superpower, and Infernape Mach is the big one. I don't think it lives Gengar Focus Blast. It might, just by the skin of its teeth. And sometimes people rely on Luke. Ooh, that is a bulky fucking dude. And he Meteor Mashes and kills it. But now Scizor's going to clean up. So, this game's over. But yeah, and sometimes people rely on stalling Luke out of Life Orb. So that's a nice dent in their plan. Of course, without, boosting items, then they do lose a significant bit of power. But it's a fair trade-off. Depends on the team and all that. I guess Douche calced that and figured he had a really good chance to live. Because remember, even though it is Stab Super Effective Life Orb Earthquake, Mixcon invests in special attack. And I'm wondering why he switched out Ape. Maybe that put it in the Meteor Mash range, but then he has to do it again, and your Gross is pretty much dead anyway, so... I think the Ape sack was a bit needless, although it doesn't really matter, but... Yeah, there goes Gengar, and Clef is gonna be finished off. Even if it's not superpower. It is. Alright, game 2, coming right up. forgot to turn the volume back on, but, whoops, I'm here now. And Sap looks to have a pretty decent advantage to me, because he's got Torn, and that annoys Douche's team a lot. Of course, Douche can also break shit open with Crawdon, as you saw. The prospect of switching into that guy is daunting indeed. And even though Sap has the worst Pokemon in OU and Hippowdon, as long as it doesn't have Stone Edge. Stone Edge Hippowdon offends me. I always disliked phasing Hippowdon, non-phasing Hippowdon in the previous 2 gens, but at least Ice Fang could hit guys like SDing Lanty and SD Garchomp. Now you just, let them shit all over you. Anyway, there's, oh, wow, that's fucked up. Sap can Mega Evolve and survive anything here, unless it's like Thunder Punch, Medicham. But that would lose his Regenerator. But then again, the extra defense might help him against like Garchomp, which is Heatran is SR, so, and he'll still be at like a little under 80 after rocks, or no, a little under 70 after rocks. Excuse me. What else was I saying? Latios is barely out of Crabhammer range, even though it got both the Sap's water resists get utterly crushed by knockoff. And I think Sap might have wanted to go for it. I guess Latios isn't really too useful. Ooh my god. He saves Clefable for Regenerator. Or Slowbro for Regenerator. And he goes to Latios on Zen Headbutt? No, he just keeps high jump kicking. Figured he might want to take the less risky move, as high jump kick utterly crushes. That must be adamant. I know the French like their plus attack natures. If this is Bullet Punch, then that thing's gone. But nope, he's gonna recover. Is he going? He's going Scarflando on the. That poor Sap. Sap's getting chewed all over the place in this game. And now Latios is dead, since it is the Defogger, and unless Douche for some reason defogs with Latios, but it's not a terrible position for Sap, because again, Torn is just really, really dangerous, especially since Heatran took a nice chunk out of from the Latios' Draco earlier, proving it is just the offensive set, max HP, max speed, with things like Taunt Toxic. And since it probably doesn't have Earth Power is very rare, and I mean Sap's own Tran is probably a good switch into it. Assuming it also has Earth Power, but Hippo is Rock, so. Torn's in, and Aqua is gonna Sting, but he can U-turn freely, and no, he superpowers, and he takes out the Tran. Now it's in Aqua Jet range. It is Life Orb. Well, that means it's going to be hammering Garchomp and Latios and such. It also could probably be in Medicham Fake Out range or some shit. At least Slowbro regenerated from earlier, so it's not totally out of commission. If you can outlast that Crawdon, outlasting Crawdon with a team like that is pretty daunting prospect once more. And I thought he should have knocked off on Hippo. I mean, did he think he was going to Clef? I guess Clef is pretty useless in this game. I mean, as useless as Clef can be. Relatively. You could probably have worse matchups for it, but like, Clef isn't all that needed. Then again, neither is Latios, but at least Latios can dent shit, you know? Kills Garchomp, Lando, and Medicham, and threatens Latios, yada yada. I mean, it essentially, Draco kills everything except for Heatran, so it was actually pretty useful. But, I mean, switching into Crabhammer worked out. And Chomp's in. Could it be Scarf Chomp? I mean, he doesn't have... Oh, he's got a Scarf Lando. Oh, it's Life Orb. Talk about your balance breaker, but Clefable can switch in now. Unfortunately, Outrage also ends. Could he go back to Torn on the Earthquake? Man, what if he went to Torn and Poison Jabbed? Oh, he's confused, but he breaks through it. And, so yeah, Boudouche's team, I mean, he's really, really doubling up on those defense-breaking dudes. You know, your Mega Medicham, your Crawdon, your Life Orb Garchomp. I mean, Mega Medicham sometimes gets stunted by, you know, Slowbro, but being that Slowbro is Sap's Mega, which also means I don't like Mega Bro because you need leftovers on it, and not to mention people like to run Spadef on it, which I think is really, really silly, but I mean, Slowbro needs its physical defense and it needs its leftovers. I mean, I have yet to see a Mega Slowbro successfully pull off a sweep, even though on paper it's amazing, because you can't crit it. I mean, a lot of the times I see people playing in ways where they just like, I want to make sure I don't get crit rather than, yeah, I'm going to win, unless he fucking crits me like a Jew. But now people are really, really, you know, they pussyfoot around getting crit. I mean, it's a smart thing to do, obviously, but Slowbro just taking... People play for crits a lot more now. And than they used to a couple years ago. At least I think so. And Slowbro just, you know, gives them the finger. You can't crit Slowbro. Now here's a... Whew, you want to talk about your game of odds. Hurricane hits. Does he hit through Confuse again? No, he hits himself. So we see Tornadus in the midst of some confusion fun. It's nothing new, although this time it's self-induced as rather than a result of Hurricane, which is the worst. Okay, might I point you fellas to the recent Smogon Tour battle, where Tornadus Therian's Hurricane burned a Zygarde's Lumberry, so it then, instead of sweeping, hit itself via Outrage Confusion and had its sweep halted. Torn eats the fake out for Medicham, and we see a double to Crawdon. I guess he feared Bullet Punch, but I think that works out for Sap pretty decently, since Crawdon just took Sand and Stealth Rock, and he's being worn down. Of course, Torn is... Everything is in Crawdon range now, so it was kind of good on Boudouche's end too. Two of the pokes die to Aqua Jet. I don't know if Heatran dies to Aqua Jet. I assume that's bulk, but fuck. But if he knocks off... Oh, he saved it. He switched to Lando. Huh. So that definitely worked out for Sap. Of course, knockoff, if he Megas with Slowbro, will probably do a hell of a lot less. I mean, I've seen the phrase Mega Slowbro counters Bisharp before. And he can definitely slack off this U-turn. And then nothing else can really threaten him. I mean, Latios can threaten a Draco, but he can switch out, regenerate, go to Tran, all that. He could Healing Wish Crawdon, though. That's a daunting prospect. So, I think Sap has no choice but to... fucking slack off here. I mean, he could go to Heatran. Going to Heatran is interesting. Yep. But then he goes to Medicham, and then you have another... well, Slowbro would have regenerated, so it would have been even higher, but I still think you can't switch in, mainly because of the lack of leftovers. There's Tran, Healing Wish to Crawdon. Yup. Oh boy. We don't see leftovers on Tran, so it could be Scarf, could be some sort of funky Power Solar Beam set that I haven't seen nearly as much of lately, but ooh, there's Crab Hammer as Earth Power comes up fairly short and he's got one more Life Orb hit. I'm not sure about that. Actually, no, that's the right move, and he shouldn't switch to Slowbro trying to get Fancy Predict Aqua Jet, because once the thing dies, Crawdon dies, then Slowbro beats the last two. So I think we're going to game 3, bar some like really extreme shit. Like, how could... I mean, you can't even crit Mega Slowbro. So, yep, Boudouche took his only shot of U-turning, or trying to knock off Sap getting Fancy. But yeah, Slowbro's going away. He can even switch out one more time for maximum regen. I think he should do that. Especially because it will waste Medicham's Fake Out. So, switch to Torn, let it die, bring Slowbro, win the game. So, we're going to game 3, that's black and white. Oh wow, Thunder Punch. Ah, this is what a battle of mechs. I mean, he can't crit, so what he has to do is like parry it with Thunder Punch. Of course, Mega Slowbro does, you know, fucking nuke it with Scald. But yeah, look at this. Most of the time you'd be saying, man, this is risky. He might get crit, but you can't crit Mega Slowbro. That's just incredible. What a world. You know, you can't rely on crits to bail you out. Sometimes I wish crits just didn't exist in Pokemon. I really do. And I know some people say they prevent boosters, like yada yada. Okay, if you rely on crits to beat Calm Mind Jirachi, you should probably lose. So, oh no. If that loses the game. I mean, I know he's used a lot of Thunder Punches, but at the same time, Paralysis is disgusting. You know, that might be the first time I've ever seen a Thunder Punch Paralysis. So now, Landorus is going to Earthquake, and if 75% of the time, Sapientia will win this game. So, Para. Fun stuff. So... Oh no, he needs to do it twice. At least he can't crit. So, he needs to do... Look at that, this Mega Slowbro is so fucking bulky, man. I mean, shell armor, baby. Look at that. So he needs to get 2 full pairs to win. That would be really, really just... Para is so unfair, man. And I'm just speaking to fill up the time. Did he get it? He didn't. Game 3. Game 3. Interesting matchup. I believe Sapientia used this team when I played him in Superstars. So, we've got Magnezone, which holds back, or threatens the Scizor for, Douche's Zam and Latias. And, Sap, I believe, it is Trick Room Reuniclus and Trick Flame Orb Latias. So, here's Rock's Garchomp. It was a Fire Blast when I played him. Of course, Spadef Scarf shrugs that shit off, but I'm not sure if Douche has been enlightened to the wonders of Spadef Scarf. He has, and there are spikes. So I think he takes his rocks, and Spadef Scarf is so good against Sap's team. It played a part when I played. And, well, he got his rocks up, and that's a start. I mean, better to have rocks than no rocks, even against that team. I mean, and, so here's Reuniclus, and Reuniclus is broken, yada yada, but what people forget is, fucking Life Orb Reuniclus stings, and that Focus Blast was definitely the product of some Life Orb shit. So he could pivot to T-Tar and fun pursuit games, but I think Reuniclus could switch out because it is, Rock's Tyranitar almost certainly on that team. I would be so surprised to see Rock's Gliscor. I mean, look at that. I know that's Spadef SD Gliscor, and he should Focus Blast here, in my opinion, because Gliscor will still get hit neutrally Abide even if it roosts and you smack T-Tar around. Of course, you could take the safe route of going to Latias, but Latias isn't exactly, you know, threatening Oko Reuniclus or something. I would assume it's a bulky Calm Mindset, you know, Self-Calm Mind, he doesn't need HP Fire, he's got Magnezone. But yeah, Spadef SD Gliscor with Magnezone support, good shit, because Jirachi and I had the realization, you did Focus Blast. Look at that shit, my god. Jirachi and I had the realization that Poison Heal Gliscor is essentially a Magic Guard poke, you know? So here comes Tar. Did he Focus Blast again? Nope, he Psychicked. I thought it was kind of too obvious to keep going. I mean, Gliscor with Poison Heal can roost all some ridiculous shit, but no big deal. No big deal. So here's Chomp. Certainly on the rock. Oh no, he got some damage on him. And it's only Rough Skin, so I would assume it's Sash Lead, or... I don't think it's Yachi. Yeah, you don't really run Yachi on Mix Rocks, you know. It's Helmet or Sash. I mean, that team doesn't look nearly offensive to me, enough to me to be Sash. But, you know, so, which is why I'm really surprised it's not Helmet. Should be really helping. Did he Fire Blast the Scarm? No, he Earthquake. That I think was a very bad move on Sap's end. I mean, Earthquake literally only hits Tar, and Earthquake only hits the mons that you can be assured that are not switching in, you know? Like, Latias... Oh, he burned it. Okay. Well, it did take a chunk anyway, and it's not leftovers, so maybe he wisened up. Maybe it's Rocky Helmet. No, it's Bantar. Fuck, it is Rocky Helmet. That's how he's getting his residuals for his Psychics, for the contact moves. And no, I'm not sure why he used that, man. That's a bit puzzling to me. So, there's just some moves I really disagree with by Sap. I mean, he could have Dragon moved expecting Gliscor or Latias or Fire Blasted, which, no, it doesn't really hit Gliscor, but Burn semi made up for by Focus Blast miss, but Keldio's coming in. And actually that helps Douche a little, or a lot, because even though Keldio's going to almost certainly pick up the kill here, Well, maybe not. He can switch to Latias, because I would switch to Latias. Because there are 3 spikes down. Tar's already taken a beating from them. And Keldeo has as well, so yeah, no real reason not to go to it, as we see Surf critting, so... he's still got the Scarm Sack for later in the game, and he's also got, I mean, Scizor, but, you know, we've got Magnezone, and U-Turn is punished a lot by spikes, so... I think that we see a Roost from Latias almost certainly. We see Garchomp. Oh, we see Roar. Roar Latias is a forgotten gem, man. And that's generally what the alternative used to be with Sub. It just destroys other Calm Mind pokes. Oh, it's Scarf. Now we see Roost. And that was very nicely done on Douche's end, so... Keldeo is pretty much out of the picture now. And Latias, Roar Calm Mind. Now that is a good set. I generally think Latias tends to not be so good, but oh, Sap got him that time, and Scizor gets roared in. And Latias, I don't know if it's a non-factor, but it can't switch in anymore for sure. Of course, it can always roost. Oh, well, it can't even. It could roost even from 17%. It could take a Keldeo. It could probably take a Sword, and definitely a Surf. Definitely a Surf. Well, Keldeo is kind of almost out of the picture anyway, so Scarm's going to get sacked for Magnezone to come in as Bullet Punch. It is Rocky Helmet, so I don't think it's Scarfzor, but it's almost certainly not Scarf Keldeo, so it's probably Acrobatics SD, since we don't see Life Orb. Of course, it could always be Iron Plate SD, but that set is really, really rare. So there's Zone about to T-Bolt or HP Fire the Scizor into the dust. And even Magnezone kind of troubles Sap's team now that Garchomp's dead. I mean, I just don't think Sap's team is very good. And not just because it has a bad matchup, but it just in general, it kind of struggles with a lot of good Pokemon. And one reason is it looks to be running offensive Latias, which is a terrible, terrible Pokemon. Of course, he tricks the Flame Orb to Tar. Trick Room Rune could still do some damage, but it's also, well, we see Latias get pursued, but Zam's Sash is still intact, so Garchomp gets sacrificed for nothing. There's no Rock still, although that kind of doesn't make any iota of a difference. He can go to Keldeo here, and he can still live one switch into Spikes, so what would be funny would be if it ended up coming down to Zam and Keldeo lived one more switch into Spikes after his Sash was broken and finished off. I don't see that happening, but you never know. We see, I think we're going to see Tyranitar come in and use Stone Edge or some shit. So Keldeo dies. It kills something and dies. Which might be nice, actually, since everything is kind of annoying to Sap's team. Well, not Latias, though. He can just sack Latias. And yeah, then, I mean, Tar will still be crippled, though. It will be even more crippled, because it'll be at 39 after Rocks, so it'll be easier for, well, it won't really make a difference. It's still going to live Latias Draco, and it's still going to be outrunning Runicle. So there's Tar, which is the least useful poke, since I think we can assume it's banded, not Chople, and even then I think, unless it was like Max Mash or something, it would need it doesn't need the health to switch into, to survive Zam's Focus Blast. So I think we see CB Stone Edge here, and it takes something. Well, it doesn't kill Magnezone. Magnezone can actually come in pretty risk-free here. It's not guaranteed that it's Sash Magnezone either. Sash Specs, although I think I would assume, well, Zam is faster, so it's not like Scarfing Magnezone will make his team fast or some shit. But Stone Edging Zam down to Sash, not gonna happen. I think he just lets T-Tar go. Well, no, he could probably go to Zam, or not Zam, Zone. Well, there goes T-Tar. I was thinking he could go to zone because CB Stone Edge, yada yada. He could probably outrun and threaten a kill and keep the tar sack. Not to mention he could live Latias Draco Meteor if it came down to it. But he's opting to keep that open, and then now he goes to Gliscor. Gliscor is doing the Magic Guard poke thing. Actually, Gliscor is going to be weakened, but it'll be at 50 after Rocks and Poison Hail. Because actually no, it can roost on Stone Edge. I was thinking it couldn't for some reason. Yeah, it can't. So he's going to roost up to full, unless this is like Jolly CB Tar, and this is Max Spadef. I do think Gliscor should be Max Spadef. If it's going all that. I mean, it's not outrunning anything in that area, but, yeah, I don't think this is Jolly Tar. So Gliscor is going to roost up to full, and he's then going to Earthquake Reuniclus a little, because Latias gets outstalled, and unless he Healing Wishes Keldeo or something, that's... Healing Wish to Keldeo would actually be pretty good. I think if Latias is Trick Flame Orbing, it better at least Healing Wish, you know? Oh, he goes to it right now. That's a good move. And this is Spadef SD, I'm almost positive with the Magnezone. Sub right here would be a good game, but somehow I don't see this being sub-roost toxic. Oh, he roosted. Oh, he predicted Draco. Okay. That still doesn't mean... Nope, it's Psyshock, it doesn't have Healing Wish. That's a shame. Yeah. Offensive Latias is a sorry excuse for a Pokemon, man. It's just so... terrible at everything. There's the SD. I think the SD was kind of unnecessary. I mean, it puts a hole in Reuniclus, but it's not like Rune wasn't didn't take like one Earthquake for Shadow Ball to drop it. Yeah, see, look, this is just sad. So, and it looks like he's not even running that much Spadef. I mean, it's running Spadef, but not that much. Because Latios Draco did way too much. I guess it is Latios Draco. And Keldeo's going to go down to Ice Fang. And now this game is pretty much over. Yeah, so Trick Room's not going to save him. Unless he crits Psychic. And Boudouche is going to round 2. Top 8. So thank you guys for watching. Don't use Offensive Latias in Black and White. It is a fucking atrocity. And use Calm Mind Roar. That's a good set. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time.